At the beauty salon, she discovered her husband's affair from the mistress herself. Not knowing she was the wife, and without saying a word, she went home, got ready, and went to the restaurant where they were meeting. That night, when she surprised them at their table, what happened next? In the humid haze of a Friday afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina, the air carried the faint scent of magnolias and the briny tang of the nearby Atlantic. The historic charm of the city, with its cobblestone streets and pastel-colored houses, felt stifling to Lisa as she navigated her way through the bustling French Quarter. For weeks, maybe months, a quiet chill had settled into her marriage with Harry, a distance measured not in miles but in unspoken words and fleeting glances. She stepped into the salon, her weekly escape, a sanctuary of routine amidst the silent turmoil of her life. The hum of blow-dryers, the chatter of clients, and the sharp scent of nail polish formed a comforting backdrop. She needed this moment to herself, a ritual of touching up her highlights and getting a manicure, as if polishing her exterior could somehow mend the cracks within. Settling into the plush leather chair, she accepted a cup of coffee from the stylist with a knowing smile. Here in this small haven, she could be just Lisa, not Harry's wife, not the business partner, not the woman holding together a fragile house of cards. As the hair dye set, the salon door swung open, ushering in a burst of vibrant energy. A woman, perhaps a few years younger, strode in with the confidence of someone who owned every room she entered. Her smile was bright, her gestures lively, and the space seemed to hum with her presence. Her name was Melanie. Lisa, usually lost in her own thoughts, couldn't help but notice the woman's electric aura. Melanie didn't need an invitation to start talking. Her voice was warm, animated, as she shared it was her birthday. Their conversation flowed naturally, as it often does in salons, touching on life and love. Melanie began to gush about a man, a romance that consumed her with intensity, though it thrived in secrecy, hidden from his family and friends. "He's a bit complicated, you know," Melanie confided, studying her reflection as the manicurist worked on her hands. "He says his ex-wife won't leave him alone. It's a messy situation. Apparently she can't handle the divorce." Melanie paused, picking out a bold scarlet nail polish, a shade that matched her fiery spirit. "He told me she relies on him financially because of some business they started together. Says she's unstable, always at therapy appointments, dragging him down." Lisa listened, her face a practiced mask of polite interest, nodding at the right moments, offering soft murmurs of agreement. Inside, a quiet unease stirred. The story, though vague, struck uncomfortably familiar chords. The tale of the unstable ex-wife was a cliché, but the mention of a shared business venture sent a shiver of recognition through her. Melanie, oblivious to the storm brewing beside her, continued her starry-eyed tale. "But he's amazing to me, a real gentleman." Her eyes sparkled. "Last month he whisked me away to Savannah for a surprise trip. It was magical. And just last week he gave me a sapphire necklace that took my breath away." She waved her free hand, nearly knocking over the polish bottle. "And tonight, for my birthday, he promised it'll be unforgettable. He's even talking about getting me a car. Can you believe it?" Lisa's breath caught. Savannah. The sapphire necklace. A month ago, Harry had said he was going to Savannah for a big client meeting. The necklace, she'd seen a hefty charge on their credit card from a jeweler and questioned him about it. "It was a watch for a key client, Lisa. A business gift to seal the deal," he'd said with his usual ease, and she, as always, chose to believe him. The growing distance between them now had a name, a face, sitting right beside her, painting her nails red. It was too much coincidence. Each of Melanie's words hammered another nail into the coffin of her marriage. The world didn't shatter with a crash, but with a deafening silence. The salon's sounds, blow-dryers, laughter, Melanie's voice, faded into a distant hum, drowned by the cataclysm in Lisa's soul. The coffee in her hand grew cold, unnoticed. Her mind raced through recent memories, each now stained with betrayal. The business trip to Savannah, the late nights Harry blamed on work, the physical distance he chalked up to stress. They were pieces of a puzzle she'd refused to assemble, now snapping into place to form a devastating truth. She needed certainty, something to crush any lingering doubt her desperate mind might conjure. With a calmness that unnerved her, Lisa turned to Melanie, summoning a smile of shared curiosity, the kind women exchange in salons over secrets. "Wow, what a guy," she said, her voice steady. "He sounds rare. What does he do? He must be an artist with all that charm." Melanie, basking in her own joy, took the bait. "He is a total artist. He's an interior designer, the best in Charleston, if you ask me." A chill ran down Lisa's spine. Harry, interior designer. He's got this charm, and those eyes, like he sees right through you. She laughed, scrolling through her phone. "I had a picture of him, but he asked me to delete it because it showed a scar on his arm from a skateboarding accident when he was younger. He's weird about it, begged me to get rid of it. I thought it was odd, but whatever." Each word was a blow. Interior designer, charming. The scar on his left arm, from a skateboarding mishap in his teens, a story Harry had shared with her under a starry sky early in their relationship. Lisa's blood ran cold. It was him. No room for coincidence, no space for denial. The man promising Melanie a car and an unforgettable night was the same man who'd shared her bed, her home, her life for 9 years. The unstable ex-wife haunting therapy offices was her. The woman who at that moment felt her sanity slipping like sand through her fingers. The pain was visceral, a sharp stab in her chest radiating outward. She wanted to scream, to stand and unravel the lie in front of everyone. But a strange calculating coldness held her still. A public outburst would be his victory, fueling the narrative he'd sold Melanie. "See, I told you she was crazy." No, she wouldn't give him that. Her intuition, long silenced, now roared, and for the first time Lisa listened. She'd confirm it herself on her terms. With the stealth of a spy, she grabbed her phone. Her fingers trembled slightly, but she forced them steady. Opening her chat with Harry, her heart pounded. His last message from that morning read, "Morning, babe, have a great day, love you." The hypocrisy burned. She typed, her mind racing to craft the perfect trap. "Hey, honey, how about we try that new restaurant downtown tonight? A friend said it's amazing. Just us, what do you think?" She hit send. Each second of waiting was agony. She glanced at Melanie, who beamed at her freshly painted scarlet nails, the color of passion and peril. Lisa's phone buzzed. "Sorry, babe, can't tonight. Last-minute meeting with the developers. They're briefing me on a huge project. Gotta prep some designs, how about tomorrow?" She read it once, twice, 3 times. The lie was so blatant, so casually polished, it was almost artful in its deceit. Something inside Lisa snapped, not with pain but with a cold, sharp clarity. Love, hope, trust turned to ash. In their place, a smile formed, not warm, but icy, lethal, the smile of a woman freed from the cage of deception. "Oh, really?" she thought, her blood now surging with fierce resolve. Meeting with the developers. The war was on, and only one side knew it had begun. Lisa tucked away the icy smile, replacing it with a friendly mask. She turned to Melanie, who was still admiring her nails, unaware of the chaos she'd unleashed. Lisa's mind worked with surgical precision, honed by betrayal. "That sounds so exciting, celebrating your birthday tonight," she said, her voice warm. "Where's this unforgettable evening happening? It must be somewhere special to match how stunning you look." Melanie, flattered, spilled everything. "It's at Tide and Vine in the Battery. You know it? It's new, super upscale. He got us a table on the terrace with a view of the harbour. Said he's got a surprise planned. I'm dying to see it." Tide and Vine, Lisa thought. The same restaurant she'd suggested to Harry. A cruel twist of fate. How romantic. "I hope you have an amazing time." "I need to grab my dress from the tailor," Melanie said, standing as her salon visit wrapped up. "Gotta run home and get ready to blow him away. We're meeting at 8, can't be late." She flashed Lisa a warm smile, oblivious to the one-sided bond. "So nice meeting you. Maybe we'll run into each other again." "Oh, my pleasure," Lisa replied, her voice smooth as silk. "Happy birthday. Savor every moment." As Melanie left, her perfume lingering like a sweet afterthought, Lisa stayed seated. The stylist finished, but she barely noticed. She paid, thanked her with a nod and stepped back into Charleston's muggy air. It no longer felt oppressive but electric, alive with possibility. She wasn't the victim anymore. She was the architect. The drive home blurred past. Tears didn't come, they felt wasteful. Instead, a steely calm settled over her, dangerously lucid. At the house she shared with Harry, their marital sanctuary, every object mocked her. The framed photo in the living room, capturing them laughing on a trip to Napa Valley. The artwork he'd chosen with his designer's eye. The couch where they'd watched movies. All lies. A stage for a play she hadn't known she was in. She walked to the closet, her heart steady, resolute. Her eyes skimmed past casual dresses and work clothes, landing on a specific piece tucked in the back. A black silk dress, sleek and elegant, with a subtle neckline that hugged her curves. Harry loved it. "You're dangerous in that dress, Lisa," he'd say, his eyes glinting with what she'd thought was desire. Tonight she'd be dangerous, but not for him, for his lie. She took a long shower, not to relax, but to cleanse away the woman she'd been 2 hours ago, the naive Lisa, the one who made excuses, who chose peace over truth. In the mirror, she saw faint lines around her eyes, but also a new fire within them. She applied flawless makeup, accentuating her eyes, choosing an understated nude lipstick. Her hair went into a sleek low bun. She slipped into the black dress, stepped into heels and put on the pearl necklace her grandmother had given her, a symbol of strength and grace. She was ready, not for battle, but for an execution. She drove to the Battery, Charleston's elegant waterfront district. The city glowed under the evening lights, its historic charm alive with energy. Parking a few blocks from Tide and Vine, she walked, the harbor breeze brushing her face. At the restaurant's entrance, the hostess greeted her with a polished smile. "Table for one, please," Lisa said firmly. "Somewhere quiet in the corner if possible." She was led to a small table, perfectly positioned. It offered a clear view of the entrance and the terrace, but kept her in the shadows, nearly invisible. She ordered a glass of bold Cabernet. The first sip burned, sharpening her focus. Then she waited, not anxiously, but with the patience of a predator. 20-30 minutes passed. The restaurant filled, the clink of glasses and hum of conversation blending into an urban symphony. Then she saw it. Harry's sleek SUV pulling up out front. Her heart gave one painful lurch, the last gasp of a dying love. He stepped out, dapper in a white linen shirt and tailored pants, circling the car to open the door for his companion. Melanie emerged, radiant in a fitted red dress, her hair cascading in waves, her smile that of a woman living a dream. Harry took her hand, and they walked toward the entrance, laughing at something he whispered. Lisa watched, her wineglass steady in her hand. The sting of betrayal materialized before her, but she breathed deeply, turning pain into fuel. They were the picture of bliss built on the ruins of her life. She was about to dismantle their stage. From her shadowed table, Lisa watched the scene unfold like a silent film. The restaurant's noise faded, replaced by the thrum of her pulse. She saw the hostess lead Harry and Melanie to the prime terrace table, with its sweeping view of the harbor under the moon's silver glow. She saw Harry pull out Melanie's chair with rehearsed chivalry, a gesture he hadn't offered Lisa in years. She saw him kiss her hand, then her lips, the same lips that had texted "I love you" to Lisa that morning. He sat across from her, flashing the same charming smile that had won Lisa over years ago, promising secrets and devotion. They talked animatedly, Harry gesturing as he spun a story that made Melanie laugh, her head thrown back in delight. He handed her a small velvet box. Melanie's eyes widened as she opened it. Lisa didn't need to see the contents to know. A car key, another jewel, it didn't matter. It was the performance of adoration that mattered, and Harry played it perfectly. Lisa finished her wine, the warmth not melting the ice in her heart. She watched them order champagne, saw the waiter pour it, saw them raise their glasses in a toast. To Melanie's birthday, to their lie. That was her cue. With a grace that surprised her, Lisa stood, smoothing her dress. She walked through the restaurant, posture perfect, steps deliberate. No one noticed her, too absorbed in their own dinners, their own lives. She was a shadow moving toward her target. At the terrace, the salty breeze brushed her face. She paused, grounding herself in the moment, then approached their table. Harry faced away, engrossed in Melanie. It was Melanie who saw her first, her smile freezing, confusion clouding her face as she looked from Lisa to Harry. Harry sensed the shift, turned slowly, and their eyes met. The moment was a silent, devastating drama, his face drained of color, the charming smile collapsing into shock and dread. His lips parted, but no sound came. He looked like a ghost under the terrace's soft lighting. His carefully divided world had just collided spectacularly. "Lisa," he croaked, voice barely audible. What are you doing here?" Lisa stopped beside their table, ignoring him at first, her gaze locked on Melanie, whose eyes were wide, her champagne glass frozen mid-air. Then Lisa smiled, a polite, devastatingly calm smile. "Hi, darling." "What a coincidence," she said, her voice steady. "Business dinner, right? I decided to check out the new place myself since you were tied up with the developers." The word developers hung like a verdict. Melanie's eyes darted between them, confusion giving way to dawning horror. "Wait, I think I know you," she said faintly. "Do you two know each other?" Lisa turned to Harry, then extended her hand to Melanie, her wedding band glinting. "I'm Lisa," she said, answering the unasked question. "Harry's wife, 9 years." The silence that followed was heavier than any scream, thick with revelation and ruin. Melanie's trembling hand spilled champagne onto the white tablecloth, a golden stain spreading like the truth's poison. Harry's face was a mask of panic, his mouth fumbling for excuses. "Lisa, I can explain, it's not what it looks like." Lisa raised a hand, silencing him instantly. "Don't bother, Harry," she said, her voice deadly calm. "I've heard enough. From you this morning." "And from her?" She nodded toward Melanie. "This afternoon at the salon." The final blow hit Melanie like a punch. "The salon," she echoed, realization and humiliation crashing over her. You were deceived, Melanie." "Just like me," Lisa said, a flicker of genuine sorrow softening her tone. She saw not a rival but another victim in Harry's elaborate play. "He told you about the crazy, clingy ex-wife? That's me. The difference is, now you know the truth. The only sick one here is him." She didn't wait for a reply. Her work was done. She turned, walking back through the restaurant with the same dignity she'd entered. No tears, no scene, no shattered plates, just the poise of a queen leaving a fallen kingdom. At the terrace door, she paused, her voice clear enough for them to hear. "Sort yourselves out. I'll take my piece." She left, the night air tasting of salt and freedom. Her heels clicked on the Battery's cobblestones, each step a period at the end of a chapter. There was no thrill of revenge, only a vast emptiness where her marriage, dreams and trust once lived. But it was a clean emptiness, ready for new beginnings. At home, the house that once suffocated her was just a place now. Walls, furniture, objects, no longer held power. She didn't sleep in their bedroom. Grabbing a sheet and pillow, she settled on the living room couch, the same one where Harry had spun his lies. It was her way of reclaiming the space, purifying it with her honest presence. Harry didn't come home that night. Lisa didn't expect him to. He was likely trying to salvage things with Melanie or wandering Charleston streets, caught in his web of deceit. His texts and calls flooded in the next morning. "Lisa, we need to talk. Please pick up. I love you. I made a terrible mistake. Give me a chance to explain." She read them with clinical detachment, as if they were meant for someone else. Words that once could have broken her were now just noise. She didn't reply. Instead, she called a top Charleston divorce attorney. Their conversation was concise, focused. Lisa wanted a divorce, swift, clean, fair. The following days blurred with legal steps and tough conversations. Harry finally showed up, haggard, eyes pleading. He tried everything. Tears, promises, claims that Melanie meant nothing, a fleeting escape from pressure, that Lisa was his true love. "You don't love me, Harry," she said calmly, sitting in the living room armchair as he paced. "You love the idea of me, the stability, the comfort, the partner who built your success. But you don't respect me, and without respect, love's just an empty word." He begged, swore he'd change, but she'd awakened from a 9-year slumber. The image of him smiling at Melanie in the restaurant was no wound, but a reminder of truth. The divorce was civil, at least outwardly. Lisa didn't want a courtroom war, just her peace. With her lawyer, they split their assets fairly, much of it from the business they'd built, seeded with her initial capital. He kept the house. She took a substantial sum to start anew. On the day they signed the papers, Harry looked gaunt, eyes shadowed. "Are you sure?" he asked, pen hovering. "I've never been surer," she replied, signing with a steady hand. With her freedom, Lisa felt both panic and excitement. She turned the spare room in her new, smaller apartment into a studio. Before she became a business manager for their firm, Lisa painted. It was her passion, her refuge. She bought canvases, paints, brushes, rediscovering the joy of creating from nothing, turning pain into color and form. Her early works were dark, chaotic, full of anger and grief, but light gradually seeped into her art, mirroring her life. Months passed. The sharp pain of betrayal dulled to a quiet scar. Lisa rebuilt herself, reconnecting with friends, visiting galleries, strolling along the Battery, feeling the sun on her face. She was learning to cherish her own company, to be enough. One day, at a cafe in Mount Pleasant, reading a novel, she heard a familiar voice. "Lisa?" She looked up to see Melanie, her vibrancy tempered by a new sobriety in her eyes. A man stood beside her, offering a polite smile before stepping away to take a call, leaving them alone. "May I?" Melanie asked, gesturing to the empty chair. Lisa nodded. An awkward silence hung between them until Melanie spoke. "I owe you an apology," she said softly. "I was a fool, believed every word he said. I'm so sorry for the pain I caused." "You don't owe me anything," Lisa said, surprised by her own sincerity. "We were both his victims. He directed the play. We were just the actors." Melanie shared she hadn't seen Harry since that night. She'd blocked his calls after his attempts to reach her. Mutual friends said he hadn't changed, chasing shallow flings, his business faltering without Lisa's steady hand. The developers he'd claimed to meet had dropped him for unprofessionalism. The two women, bound by shared wounds, talked for nearly an hour, not as rivals but as survivors. A silent understanding passed between them, a recognition of their resilience. As they parted, Melanie hesitated. "You look good. At peace." "I am," Lisa replied, her smile genuine. "I finally am." That chance meeting closed a chapter. The anger and resentment dissolved, leaving only calm. Lisa was no longer defined by Harry's betrayal, but by her ability to rise above it. Her life found a new rhythm, a melody she crafted daily. Painting, once therapy, became more. Her vibrant canvases caught the eye of a small gallery in the French Quarter. Her first solo exhibit, though modest, filled her with pride no business success with Harry ever had. It was hers, born of her pain, resilience, and soul. Nearly a year post-divorce, Lisa walked along Folly Beach at sunset, the sky ablaze with orange and pink, the Atlantic a golden mirror. Barefoot, she felt the warm waves kiss her feet, a sense of wholeness enveloping her. No ghosts lingered, just the breeze, the sea, and the promise of her future. Returning to her car, she noticed a minor commotion. A man stood examining her car's rear bumper and the front of a sleek sedan pressed against it. A small scratch marked her bumper, likely from a botched parking attempt. Before irritation could rise, the man turned and Lisa caught her breath. Tall with a sheepish smile and kind eyes, he wasn't strikingly handsome like Harry, but carried a quiet depth. "I'm so sorry," he said, voice calm but embarrassed. "I totally misjudged the space. My fault entirely. I'll cover all damages. Can we exchange info? I'll handle it tomorrow." Lisa, who might have once reacted with frustration, just smiled. "It happens. Doesn't look bad." Her calm surprised him. "You're kind. Most people would be yelling." They swapped names and numbers. He was Ethan, Their conversation flowed effortlessly. Charleston's traffic, the stunning sunset, the perils of tight parking. A subtle connection sparked, unexpected but undeniable. Their text began about the car repair. Ethan was prompt, insisting on top-notch service, apologizing repeatedly. But soon their chats veered to books, music, the best low-country eateries. They shared a humor and worldview that felt aligned. When Ethan invited her to dinner a week later, Lisa agreed without hesitation, a flutter of happy anticipation stirring. They met at a cozy restaurant on Sullivan's Island. Their conversation was even better in person. Ethan was bright, attentive, a true listener. Feeling safe, Lisa shared her story. Her marriage, the business, the divorce, not with drama but as a full portrait of herself, scars included. Ethan listened, his gaze steady with respect. When she finished, he sighed. "Lisa, I need to tell you something, and I hope it doesn't ruin this." Her heart skipped. "I own the development firm Harry worked with," he said. "His name rang a bell, but your story just clicked it. We cut ties with him months ago. He was creative but a mess, missed deadlines, upset clients, always had an excuse about meetings with us." Lisa absorbed the cosmic irony. The developer meetings, the lie that sparked her marriage's end, had led her, through a twisted path, to the developer himself. The universe seemed to laugh with her, not at her. She felt no anger, only calm. Looking at Ethan, the man who dented her car, she laughed, a deep, freeing laugh. After a beat, he joined her. Now begins a new story, Lisa thought, meeting his eyes. One built not on lies but on a scratched bumper and shared truth. A story of respect, maybe even love. Their dinner continued, a final barrier broken. They weren't strangers anymore, but two people whose paths crossed extraordinarily, united by the collapse of a lie that paved the way for a new truth. The future was a blank canvas, and Lisa was eager to paint. 2 years after the divorce, Harry's life was a dim echo of his ambitions. The freedom he'd chased became a lonely burden. The house, once a symbol of success, felt vast and hollow, each room whispering Lisa's absence. Her quiet strength, which he'd never valued, was gone, leaving chaos his creativity couldn't mask. His business crumbled without Lisa's meticulous management. Deadlines slipped, budgets ballooned, clients drifted away. The developers he'd used as an alibi were the first to drop him, citing unprofessionalism that stung his pride. He took on smaller projects, but his spark had faded. His passion, once mistaken for talent, had relied on Lisa's foundation. Without her, he was a middling artist with grand ideas and poor follow-through. His fling with Melanie collapsed that night at Tide and Vine. Her pride couldn't withstand the humiliation. She saw him for what he was, a weak liar. The women who followed were fleeting distractions, unable to fill the void or offer the unwavering support he'd taken for granted in Lisa. One Saturday night, feeling low, Harry's friend dragged him to a gallery opening in the French Quarter. Wandering among sculptures and paintings, a glass of wine in hand, a series of vibrant coastal landscapes stopped him. Their light and emotion felt familiar. He read the plaque, Lisa Monroe. His breath caught. Lisa, his Lisa. Painting, exhibiting in a prestigious gallery. Heart racing, he scanned the room and saw her. She stood amid a group, laughing, radiant with a confidence he'd never seen. Her hair was shorter, stylish, her blue dress accentuating her eyes. She wasn't younger, she was more alive. The man beside her, gazing with deep admiration, touched her back gently. It was Ethan, the developer who'd fired him. The irony was crushing. In that moment, Harry grasped the full weight of his loss. Not just a wife, but the vibrant artist he'd helped dim with his lies and selfishness. The crazy ex-wife he'd painted for Melanie was a fiction to justify his failings. The real woman stood there, reborn from their marriage's ashes, stronger, brighter. He shrank into the shadows, unable to approach, unable to look away. Lisa turned to Ethan, her smile a warmth Harry hadn't seen in years, perhaps ever. It was a smile of peace, partnership, love built on truth. Harry downed his wine, set the glass on a tray, and slipped out into the French Quarter's cobblestone streets. The music and laughter around him felt distant. No anger, no jealousy, just deep, hollow regret. In chasing shallow thrills, he'd destroyed the one true thing he'd had. By losing her, he hadn't doomed her to loneliness, as his ego assumed. He'd set her free. And in doing so, he'd condemned himself to live with the ghost of the extraordinary woman she'd become without him. And in the end, fate, with its poetic irony, showed that a lie can build a castle, but only the truth can build a home. This story was inspired by real events. What did you think of Lisa's journey? Leave your opinions in the comments, we really want to know. If you were moved by this story, don't forget to like the video, and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel to help us continue bringing you more stories like this. Your help is essential. Take care and see you in the next video.